Now let's play around with some of the layout settings and show you what you can get to fairly quickly here. And then in the next video we'll add to these and get really kind of a cool looking setup here. First of all, if you remember, we've got this simple cascading style sheet. We're setting the font family to Times for husband. We're making the font size 16, setting the color of that text to blue, and we're displaying it as a block. On the wife, we're putting Courier 11 pixels and the color is green. And we're applying it by pointing the XML document to our cascading style sheet, and it's formatting this particular bit of data. Now if I open this up, just as a reminder, let's look at what we've got. Notice the way the data is showing up. Well, we want the wife on a different line, okay, a separate line under. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the wife tag and put display colon block semicolon, save our cascading style sheet, open our XML document, and notice we've now kicked the wife down to the next line. Pretty straightforward. Now let's look at some of the other layout features that we can do. For example, we've got a display and a block here. What if we set the background color of that block to, and we will do yellow. Save that. Notice what we get. Notice we got one huge yellow block. Now that's kind of ugly. So what we need to do now is set some features on this to change the way it is. Well, what's actually happening here, let me go back to this. It's doing a block for each element. There's a block for this one right here, and then there's a block for this one, but there's no space in between. So let's put a little space in between those by establishing a margin. So let's set a margin on the bottom, and let's set it at 2 pixels. Okay. Now save this, open it back up. Notice what we've got. We've got a little space here. It's kind of interesting now, right? So let's go back and change it a little more. Let's make this maybe a 6 pixel, and let's make the width of our box a little narrower. WIDTH, right? Let's make it 125 pixels wide. Now we're going to start to get interesting. Notice what we've got. Now, starting to look kind of cool, right? But notice this is just the layout properties. Now, we're kind of tightly packed into these boxes, so let's change that. Let's put a little padding on here. Let's set padding at, say, 40. And notice what's going to happen now. We're going to add space inside our boxes. Now, all that's layout stuff. So we're determining what's happening. Now, this can be very cool. With a little bit of tinkering around with our code, to use a technical Tennessee term there, we can get some pretty interesting stuff just by setting these things. And notice we're never changing our XML. We're only changing the cascading style sheet. So you start to see. Now, let's take a real quick look here. Notice that the wife is right now going down to the second line. We can bring her back up to the top by changing this to inline, saving that, opening it up, and then notice our wife, well, my block's kicking her down because I'm not wide enough. Let's kick that up, and you'll notice now that the wife is inline. Now we can force her down to a block right there by changing block. This is saying every time you read a new wife tag, let's go down another new line. So we'll open it back up. Now, I hope all this bouncing back and forth hadn't been confusing to you. Go back and watch this a time or two and look at what we've done. One last thing. Notice we can very easily change this, and I'm going to change it to steel blue. And this is going to be ugly with the colors that we've got everywhere else. I'm going to change this color for the text to black, and I'll change the color for this one to white. And notice how easily I've changed my document here from my XML document. Totally different look. So that's some examples. In the next video, we're going to look at playing with some of the text settings and some of the borders on these boxes. You'll really like what you see there.